Good afternoon. So we will continue our discussion about limit, but today we will encounter how to get the limit if we have piecewise function. When a limit does not exist. So it means that not all limits exist. I mean, there is no certain value that we can find. Okay. So when a limit does not exist, how do we know if a limit exists and how do we know if a limit does not exist? So example number 8, suppose that the given function is equal to -2 if x is less than 0 and f of x is equal to 3x if x is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so let's try to do it sa board. We will determine if the given function, if the limit of the given function exists. All right, so given this piecewise, let's graph it first. So the first one, we have a constant function, whatever the value of x here is less than 0. If the value of x is less than 0, we're going to graph this. And it's a constant function. Whatever the value of x that is less than 0, the value of y is still -2. And we have here open to 0. So we'll have if x is 0, y is still -2. If x is, so if we have less than, so 0 going to the left, 0, -1, -2. If x is -1, y is -2. If x is -2, y is still -2. So that's why it's a constant function. So when we graph 0, -2, this is open. If x is -1, y is still -2. If x is -2, y is still -2. Okay, so this is the graph of the first piecewise. The second one, f of x is 3x if x is greater than or equal to 0. So this is close to 0. So from 0 up to positive infinity. So we have 0, 1, 2. So if x is 0, y is 0. If x is 1, so 3 times 1, y is 3. If x is 2, so 3 times 2, y is 6. So we have 0, 0, and it's close since we have here greater than or equal to 0, 0. The second one is a line with a slope 3 and y-intercept 0. So it's still a linear function. X is 1, y is 3. 1, 2, 3. If x is 2, y is 6. 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it's a line. How are we going to find the limit of this function? So with that, we need to do the theorem for one-sided limit. Okay, so what do we mean by one-sided limit? So the theorem says that if the limit of f of x as x approaches a exists, and is equal to the limit if and only if the limit of f of x as x approaches a from the right and the limit of f of x as x approaches a from the left. So the positive sign means to the right of a. The negative sign means the a from the left. Okay, both exist and both are equal to the limit. So we need to check the right hand limit, the left hand limit, and check if the given value for the right limit exists, if the limit from the left also exists. What do we mean exists? There is the value exists. The value is a real number, any real number. Okay, for us to know that it exists. And both of the limit or both are equal to the limit. It means that the limit from the right of A and the limit from the left of A are equal for us to say that the limit of the function as x approaches A exists. Okay, so again, what are the conditions that we need to check? Check the limit of the given function as x approaches A from the right. Check if the limit of f of x as x approaches A from the left also exists. If both of them exist, are they equal? If yes, the given function, okay, exists. The limit of the given function exists. So let's go back to example. Given this example, so we need to check. But the question is, how do we know if what is the value of A? The value of A depends on the restriction of the domain. So we're going to check 0 from the right and 0 from the left. Okay. By the way, this is the left since we have here x less than 0. All values, okay, on the left of A. So this will be the value of A, 0. And here is A from the right because we have greater than or equal to. So it means 0 going to the right. And here less than means 0 going to the left. So if we're going to check the limit of f of x as x approaches 0 from the right, so you will write limit. What is the function if we're going to check 0 from the right? 0 from the right, so you check greater than here. So the function is 3x. Be careful in choosing the function, okay? As x approaches 0 from the right. So we will just substitute 0 here. Therefore, the limit is, so 3 times 0, it's 0. Next, the limit of f of x as x approaches 0 from the left. So you choose a function wherein the value of a, okay, on the left of a. So we will have the limit of, you choose a function wherein the value of a 0 from the left or yung may less than. So we will have here, the function is negative 2. So one of the theorem says that the limit of a constant function is what? What is the limit of a constant function? This one. Okay, we have this negative 2. The third condition, the limit of f of x as x approaches 0 from the right exists because we have a value which is 0. The limit of f of x as x approaches 0 from the left also exists. But the third condition, are they equal? Are they equal, class? Obviously, they are not equal. Therefore, the limit of since the limit of f of x as x approaches 0 from the right is not equal to the limit of f of x as x approaches 0 from the left, then the limit of f of x as x approaches 0 does not, then the limit of f does not exist, or DNE. Okay? So how do we know if the given function or the given piecewise function, if the limit of the given piecewise function exists? Check if the limit of f of x as x approaches a from the right exists, the limit of f of x as x approaches 0 from a from the left exists, and check if they are equal. If they are equal, then the limit of the given function as x approaches a exists. But since in this example, they are not equal, even 0 from the right, 0 from the left exists, but they are not equal. Therefore, the limit of the function as x approaches 0 still does not exist. Is that clear?
Yes po.
So all conditions should be satisfied. Next. Let g be defined by g of x if g of x is equal to the absolute value of x if x is not equal to 0. G of x is equal to 2 if x is 0. Number 2. All right. So we have g of x is equal to the absolute value of x if x is not equal to 0. So whatever the value of x, so here all values, I mean the domain for this one, all values except all real numbers except 0 for the domain. Okay, so it means that open to 0. And the second one is also, this is a point we have if x is 0, y is 2. And we know that the graph for absolute value is like V, right? So when we graph it, we will just open it to 0. So it's open circle. And we know that the graph for absolute value is V-like. And we have a point 0, 2. 1, 2. Okay. So we will check if the limit of g of x as x approaches 0 exists. So we'll check first the limit of g of x as x approaches, the value of a is still 0. So we'll check 0 from the right and 0 from the left. The limit of g of x as x approaches 0 from the left. By the way, class, this one ay nasa ilalim ng lim. Okay? So we read this, the limit of g of x as x approaches 0 from the right, and this one, the limit of g of x as x approaches 0 from the left. Okay, so we're going to choose a function. You need to be careful dito sa function na gagamitin, sa pipiliin. Kasi meron nga kasing mga limit na nag-e-exist for piecewise. So ibig sabihin, may chance na tama yung function, tama yung sagot nyo, pero mali naman yung function na pinili nyo. So it's still wrong. Okay? So, anong function ang pipiliin natin? 0 from the right. 0 from the right.
1 po, ma'am.
Okay. So 0 from the right, we know that the definition for absolute value function, diba, na present ko na to last time, we have two meaning for this. Okay? If for absolute value, we have okay. For absolute value function, we have x if x is greater than or equal to 0. And it also means that negative x if x is less than or this is greater than. Less than 0. Greater than or equal to 0 kasi kasama 0 dito. And the other one for negative x means x less than 0. So probably we're going to use for 0 from the right of 0 is still this one. But we will have the positive. Kasi 0 from the right, this one, right? So we'll write the limit of x as x approaches 0 from the right. So therefore, the limit is, we will just substitute, we'll have 0. The absolute value of 0 is still 0. Okay, next. Again, this means that approaching means papalapit, pero hindi ibig sabihin yun yung value niya. Kaya hindi natin to pinili, class. Okay, kasi dito, g of x is 2 if x equals 0. Okay, 0 from the right. Nasa right ni 0, ano yung mga nasa kanan niyang value? Hindi sinabing sakto kay 0, yung mga nasa right side niya. Okay? The second one, the limit of g of x as x approaches 0 from the left. So now, we're going to use 0 from the left. Hindi pa rin natin to pipiliin. This one. But according to the definition, if we have 0 from the left, we're going to choose this one, negative x. The limit of negative x, this is the absolute value, means, but on the left of 0. As x approaches 0 from the left, still the limit is 0. Okay? Since, so, pwede na nating ilagay 0 from the right exists, 0 from the left exists. Therefore, the limit of g of x as x approaches 0 is what is the value? 0. Okay? Or if you want, you write, since the limit of g of x as x approaches 0 from the right is equal to the limit of g of x as x approaches 0 from the left, then the limit of g of x as x approaches 0 is 0. That's it.
Ma'am, pwede po magtanong?
Sure. What is your
Dun
question?
po sa value po ng absolute value po ng x, kung ano po yung constant po doon, yun na po yung magiging value po ng limit po pagdating po sa limit of g of x.
For constant function? Yes po.
Opo.
Yes
Okay,
po.
ma'am.
So,
Noted.
balikan natin yung limit theorems. That the limit for a constant function class is the constant itself. This one. Okay? Whatever the value of the constant, when we get the limit of a constant function, the answer is the constant. Okay? Like this one, the limit of 4 as x approaches 2 is 4. The limit of 9 as x approaches 6 is 9. Is that clear?
Yes po, ma'am. Yes po.
Okay. So let's continue. Okay, so nandito naman yan, class. Number 11. So we have the function h of x is equal to 4 minus x squared. Okay, number 3. The given function h of x is equal to 4 minus x squared if x is less than or equal to 1, and h of x is equal to 2 plus x squared if 1 less than x. So 1 less than x means x greater than 1. Okay, so since we have here 1, okay, the value of a is 1, okay, as x approaches a. So let's graph it first. So here, the sign of A is negative. So this is parabola opening downward. And here the sign of x squared, or the numerical coefficient of x squared, is positive. Therefore, this is parabola opening upward. So we have here less than or equal to 1. So we'll start with 1 and it's close to 1, pababa. 1, 0, negative 1. So if x is 1, so 4 minus 1, it's 3. If x is 0, y is 4. And if x is negative 1, 4 minus 1 is still 3. And here, x is greater than 1. It's open to 1. So we have x greater than 1, so 1, 2, and 3. 2 plus 1, it's 3. So 2 squared, it's 4, plus 2, 6. 3 squared, it's 9, plus 2, 11. So let's graph 1, 3, 0, 4. 1. This is close. 0, 4. Negative 1, 3. So pag ganun siya, class, And the other one, so this is parabola, opening downward. Next, 1, 3. So close sa una, 1, 3, pero open sa kabila. Still close pa din. 2, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 11. So, yan siya. Yung part ng parabola, diba, halimbawa yung part na to, ito lang yung nakuha. Kaya kala mo hindi siya parabola class ha. Pero ito yan. Nandito kasi ang curve sa baba niya, yung vertex. Okay, then let's get the limit. Evaluate the limit of h of x. The limit of h of x as x approaches 1 from the right and the limit of h of x as x approaches 1 from the left. By the way, class, okay lang naman kung unahin nyo yung left sa right. As long as kukunin nyo silang dalawa. Okay? So, 1 from the right, piliin nyo yung may greater than. Okay? So, the second one. So, the limit of 2 plus x squared from x as x approaching 1 from the right. So, this is a polynomial function. For polynomial function, we just do direct substitution to find the limit, right? So 2 plus 1, 1 squared. So that's 1. 2 plus 1. So the limit is 3. Okay. The second one, the limit of h of x as x approaches 1 from the left. So pipiliin natin 1 from the left, yung less than. The limit of may less than. So we will have 4 minus x squared as x approaches 1 from the left. So again, this is a polynomial function or a quadratic function. For quadratic function, we will just do direct substitution, right? So we will have 4 minus 1, 3. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, class. Magkaiba sila ng function pero equal ang limit nila. So you need to be careful dito. Tama ang limit, mali naman yung function na pinili. Okay? So since they are equal, the limit of h of x as x approaches 1 is 3. Okay? So this is the limit of the given function. Is that clear?
Yes po, ma'am. Nagigets po.
Okay. So this is the graph of number 3. Number 3, the limit of h of x exists. This is the graph. For the second example, this is the graph for g of x, and the limit also exists. The limit of g of x as x approaches 0 also exists. The first example, the limit does not exist. The limit of f of x as x approaches 0 does not exist. So what have you noticed with the graph? If the limit exists and if the limit does not exist.
Pag
Again,
nag-exist, ma'am, nagtatouch po silang dalawa. Pero pag does not exist po, wala.
all right, magkadugtong. When you have a pen, okay, you don't need to flip your pen para mag-graph yung dalawa or kung ilan man yung piecewise nyo. Okay? So dito kailangan natin itaas ang pen natin para mag-graph yung isa. Okay? For number 2 example, no need to flip your pen to graph this. Okay? The second one, the third one, sorry, it's just the same. The limit also exists. Mag-graph nyo siya. Okay. Are we clear with number 3 example class? Can you follow? Okay. Next. Example number 12 class, let f be defined by f of x is equal to x plus 5 if x is less than -3. F of x is equal to square root of 9 minus x squared if x is between -3 and 3. F of x is 3 minus x if 3 less than x. 3 less than x. So this is the graph class of the given function f. So let's try to answer sa whiteboard. Ay. Ulit yun. Okay, so this is the given piecewise function. We will determine if the given function exists, if the limit of the given function exists. So as you've noticed, class, in the domain, we have -3, okay, -3 and 3. 3 less than x means x greater than 3. So we have -3 and 3. Okay, so what is the value of x? If we have two values, kanina kasi class, puro isa lang. Puro 1, puro 0, and here also 0. But in the last example, we have -3 and 3. So we need to get the limit of the function as x approaches -3 from the right, from the -3 from the left, as x approaches 3 from the right, and as x approaches 3 from the left. So, ibig sabihin, meron tayong 6. Okay? Left at right ni -3, left at right ni 3. Okay? So, let's have first -3. The limit of f of x as x approaches -3 from the right, the limit of f of x as x approaches -3 from the left. Okay. -3 from the right. Yung nasa right ni -3. Ito ay nasa left kasi less than. Ito ay nasa pagitan nito. Pag ang value ni x ay nasa pagitan ni -3 at 3, so ano yung mga value ni x dyan? -3, -2. Pwede din yung mga nasa pagitan pa nito, class. Pero ito yung mga possible value niya, values ni x. Yung mga nasa pagitan. Okay, again, pwede ang irrational number. Basta yung mga nasa pagitan, halimbawa 0.5, 1.7, 2.8, ganun din dito sa left side. Yan yung mga value niyan. So, ano ang function na gagamitin natin if x approaches, x approaching -3 from the right? Nasa right ni -3.
Yung pangalawa po. Yung
Nasa
pangatlo
right
doon.
ni negative 3. This one, right? So, we're going to use the second one. The limit of square root of 9 minus x squared as x approaches negative 3 from the right. By the way, hindi ko na pala class ginrap. Okay? Pinakita ko naman kung ano yung graph nila. So the limit of square root of 9 minus x squared as x approaches negative 3 from the right. So when we substitute, okay, ang domain nito, okay, hindi all real numbers except. So when you solve this, 9 minus x squared, which is greater than or equal to 0. Ano yung mga, kasi this is square root eh. 'Di ba? Meron yung restriction sa domain. So pwede naman kasi ang sabi naman as x approaches negative 3 from the right. Ibig sabihin negative 2, negative 1, okay? Yung mga yan, pwede. Ang magiging sagot ay positive. Hindi siya mag-undefined. So when we do that, pwede na to. Pwede natin i-substitute 9. So the limit of square root of 9 minus, we'll just substitute negative 3 here. So the square root of negative 3, it's 9. 9 minus 9, 0. Square root of 0 is 0. Okay, so the limit of f of x as x approaches negative 3 from the right is 0. Next, the limit of f of x as x approaches negative 3 from the left. So from the left of 3, of negative 3. So we'll have this one, yung less than. Okay, x is less than negative 3. So we will have the limit of x plus 5 as x approaches negative 3 from the left. So again, this is a polynomial function. This is a linear function. Okay, so we will just do direct substitution. So therefore, we will have negative 3 plus 5. The answer is 2. So the limit of f of x as x approaches negative 3 is 2. Okay? The limit of f of x as x approaches negative 3 from the right exists. The limit of f of x as x approaches negative 3 from the left also exists, but they are not equal. Okay? So therefore, the limit of f of x as x approaches negative 3 does not exist. Okay? Next. How about as x approaches 3 from the right? Yes.
Yung pangatlo po sa piecewise, hindi na po yung kasama.
Yung alin?
Yung 3 minus x po, hindi na po kasama sa ipoprove kung meron
Not yet.
pong...
Hindi pa natin to nagagamit as if x is greater than 3. Dito siya papasok. Okay, next. Kaya ang sabi ko, kukunin natin 6 lahat. Okay, so let's find the limit of f of x as x approaches 3 from the right. And the limit of f of x as x approaches 3 from the left. Okay? 3 from the right. So, ibig sabihin, right? So, greater than this one. So, we will choose this function. So, we'll have the limit of 3 minus x as x approaches 3 from the right. So, this is again a linear function. So, we'll just do direct substitution. 3 minus 3 The answer is 0. Next, the limit of f of x as x approaches 3 from the left. 3 yung mga nasa kaliwa niya. So, ibig sabihin, we're going to use this function. The limit of square root of 9 minus x squared as x approaches 3 from the left. So, we will just substitute 3 here. Okay, so still 3 squared, it's 9. 9 minus 9, it's 0. Square root of 0, still 0. Okay, so they are equal, right? The limit, therefore, the limit of f of x as x approaches 3 is 0. Okay, yung dito sa kabila, as x approaches negative 3, does not exist. The limit of f of x as x approaches negative 3 does not exist. But here, the limit of f of x as x approaches 3 exists, which is equal to 0. So if you want to graph that class, pwede naman. The first one is a line if x is less than negative 3. So we will have negative 3, it's open, less than. So negative 4, negative 5. Negative 3 plus 5, it's 2. Negative 4 plus 5, it's 1. Negative 5 plus 5, 0. So here we have negative 3 squared it. Square root of negative 3, it's 9. So this is 0. This is 4. 9 minus 4, 5. So we have square root of 5. Negative 1, 9 minus 1, square root of 8, that is 2, square root of 2. 9 minus 0, 9, square root of 9, 3. 1, 9 minus 1, it's 8, square root of 8, that is 2, square root of 2. 2 squared, it's 4. 9 minus 4, it's 5. So we have square root of 5. 3 squared, it's 9. 9 minus 9, it's 0. Square root of 0 is 0. Kaya meron yan class na graph na parang half circle. Okay. So, and close kasi sila, oh. So, makakabuo ka ng circle. Ganyan. Okay, so we have 3, 0. Okay. 0, 3. Negative 3, 0. So, you assume kung paano yung square root of 5. Negative 2, square root of 5 ay lagpas ng konti sa 2. Right? So, makakabuo ka dyan ng half circle. Okay? The next one, the first one is a line. The slope is 1 and the y-intercept is 5. So we'll have negative 3, 2. It's open. Negative 3, 2. And then negative 4, 1. Is this a line ba? Line naman siya. Negative 3. Baka mali ako ng given. Please double check kung tama ako ng given. Negative 3, negative 3, 2. Negative 4, 1. Negative 5. Negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 3, 2. Negative 3, 2, open. Ulit nga. Negative 3, 1, 2, 3, and 2. This is open. Hindi kasi yan dapat dito mag-touch class eh. Basta ganun siya. Negative 3, 2. Dahil ang negative 3, 2, hindi naman part nito. Kasi if x is negative 3, y is 0. So, negative 3, 2, negative 4, 1. Ayan. Ang slope natin ay positive. So, the line is pointing to the right. And the third one, the slope is negative. So, the line is pointing to the left. If x is greater than 3. And this is open. 3, 4, 5. So, 3 up to positive infinity. If x is 3, y is 0. If x is 4, 3 minus 4, negative 1. 3 minus 5, negative 2. So, we'll have 3, 0. Yan, nandito yan, class. 'Di ba? Eh, ang 3, 0 dito ay close. So, close na to. Okay? 3, 0, 4, negative 1. Pag ganun. 5, negative 2. Yes, yun. Okay? The line is pointing to the left since the slope is negative. Okay? So that's how we graph number 4. Any question? Obviously, dito ay hindi talaga mag-exist kasi may nakahiwalay. Are we clear sa number 4, class?
Yes po.
Okay. Okay, nandito yan, class. So dito, inuna ko lang ang 3 from the left, 3 from the right. Okay. Sa ginawa natin, inuna natin ang negative 3. Okay, so we're done with limit laws. Okay, so that's it. So you're done with practice exercise A. You're going to answer practice exercise B. Solve the following, graph the functions, and determine if the limit exists. Okay, so number 16 to 25.
Need pa po i-graph.